Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, for that introduction. Some of you I've met around the country, and every place I go in the country and I see a member of the IAFF, I say, you keep in shape, burger in line. Not one of them has responded yes yet. Harold, you and I have been friends for a very, very long time, and I want to thank you for all you have done and your leadership and your commitment and your toughness in the eye of opposition and your willingness and smartness to get the right deal done. So thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here with all of you. I've been outside with Kelly. Kelly is, I think, from down south by his accent. That's South Boston, of course. His accent, talking about his congressman, Steve Lynch. What a great guy he is. Thank you all for what you do every day, for your willingness to be on the line, answer the call, answer the bell, the siren, whatever it is that, or the cell phone, whatever it is that gives you indication that one of us somewhere, somehow, is in trouble. And you're ready to respond. You're ready to respond every day, every hour, morning, noon, and night. And our communities are safer for that. Our psychology is a little sounder for that, and our appreciation is unlimited for that. You know, that ad where X costs this, and X costs that, and X costs Y, and X costs Z, but your willingness to respond at whatever the time of crisis is, as they say in that ad, priceless. So I thank you very, very much for that. Dave Lang, thank you. I got to mention Andy Pantelis. Andy, where are you? He's my homeboy. He's from my county, and he's done a great job in Maryland, doing a great job nationally, now doing a great job for our region as our regional 4th District Vice President. And of course, he's also president of our local. Mike Runn, President of Firefighters of Maryland. Ray Tatakawa, President of the National Capital Professional Federal Firefighters Local F-131. And Charles Hottinger, who's the President of IAFF 36, also in Washington, D.C. Shannon, I want to thank you for your leadership in government relations. Andy Levine, the political director, of course, thank you so much for your service. Is Kevin here?
No, I think he's up on the hill.
He's up on the hill. We're not sure which hill he's up on, but he's up on the hill. Boy, what a great line that is, up on the hill. Kevin O'Connor, of course, as many of you know, was president of our Maryland chapter. And then, of course, for many, many years, headed up your legislative operation and is my dear, dear friend. But I'm honored to be here with all of you. As I said, Harold and I have built a very strong and close relationship over the years, advocating together on behalf of our domestic defenders. And I want to say, when Harold calls me, I answer the phone. Most of the time I can do what he wants, and when I can't, we're very straightforward with him and say, hey, I can't get that done, Harold. We couldn't get some things done in the Congress. I'm going to talk about that, but hopefully we're going to be able to get some things done very positive fashion this year. I'm proud to be in the company of so many extraordinary Americans who serve our communities. The Fire Service Caucus, as you probably know, is the largest caucus in the Congress. Why? Because every member of the Congress of the United States know that firefighters and emergency response teams are the closest people to their community, and their community respects them and understands how critically important they are to their community's welfare. Firefighters and paramedics play a critical role in protecting the American dream for the millions of people who rely on you to keep them safe and respond, as I said earlier, in times of emergency. We who stand with you in Congress must do our part to protect your access to the American dream. That's why I'm so honored to serve as co-chair of the Congressional Fire Service Caucus, which was formed some 25 years ago, maybe a little longer ago than that. Kurt Weldon, a Republican, chief of his local fire department, came here and he said, we need to have some focus on our domestic defenders. We focus on our international defenders who put on a uniform and defend our freedoms abroad. But very frankly, if it weren't for you and our police officers, our domestic defenders, we wouldn't be safe here at home, and democracy would not be able to perform here at home. Our bipartisan caucus exists for a very critical purpose: to make sure every one of our colleagues understands how hard you work, how important your contributions are, and how much you deserve the support of Congress. Foremost in that effort is standing up for the collective bargaining rights of firefighters and paramedics. Just like, I think I heard you mention something about that as I came through the door. Now, we only had 51 U.S. senators on the Democratic side in that period of time, so when we passed the bill through the House of Representatives, we were unable to get the 60 votes in the United States Senate. Now, we don't have 51, we only have 47, but hopefully we can convince some folks on the other side of the aisle when we pass that bill, and Bobby Scott, of course, is looking at that bill, seeing what kind of specific bill he wants to put out of the committee and get the votes to get out of committee. But when it comes out, my job is to either decide that things go on the floor or they don't go on the floor. Now, I was minority whip before and I didn't decide anything. Now I will decide whether or not bills go on the floor, and I can guarantee you a bill to make sure that your collective bargaining rights are protected will in fact be on the floor. Thank you. I got the message. Thank you very much. You got a tape. I will bring to the floor any legislation the Education and Labor Committee passes to ensure the right of firefighters and paramedics to form and join a union and bargain collectively on hours, wages, and terms of employment. People do better when that happens. America does better when that happens. Our economy does better when that happens. When people have fair wages and fair hours and fair working conditions and good benefits and good security. We all benefit from that. Working people in this country have unfairly borne the brunt of the Trump administration's economic policies that favor those at the very top and have made it harder for most Americans to attain real economic security in our middle class. Now, I do not urge you to make partisan conclusions. What I do urge you to make is conclusions based upon who's fighting for you and who delivers for you. That's the rational decision to make, not the partisan decision. We've seen a dangerous erosion of workers' rights across the board in recent times. The new Democratic House majority, of which I'm the majority leader, was elected in large part on a platform of raising the voices of America's workers and their families and making government work for everyone again, not just the wealthy or well-connected. And that is exactly what we've started to do. In the first days of our majority, we began the process of defending the Affordable Care Act and its protection for those with pre-existing conditions, including cancer. Now, I understand that many of you have policies that are related to your government employment, whatever that employment may be, whether it's state, whether it's local, whether it's county, municipal, whatever it is. But the Affordable Care Act sets the agenda for minimum coverage so that we don't have policies that you think you have that you end up getting seriously ill and the bill comes and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't cover that. Frankly, that's what the administration likes to see, these 364-day policies, which seem cheap for people, but end up being more expensive. Now, what does that mean to you that have a good policy? You have a good policy largely because your union assured that you were going to get a good policy. What does that mean? It means your policy being more expensive. If somebody goes to the hospital and they find a real illness and have a big bill and they can't pay it, uncompensated care. You don't think the hospital eats that, do you? We all eat it. We pass it along to everybody. Just as shoplifting is not a freebie either. You go into Walmart, you buy a product, but somebody goes in there and steals a product. I guarantee you what they do at the end of the year, they divide all of our purchases by whatever that loss was, and they amortize it through us. Same thing happens with insurance. Last week, we passed a major piece of legislation to make government more transparent, accountable, and ethical. We passed common sense criminal background check legislation to keep our communities and emergency service personnel safer from gun violence. And our agenda for the months ahead includes working to raise wages, bring down the cost of prescription drugs, make higher education and skills training more accessible. That is critical as our economy is quickly changing, that we need to make sure that we keep up with the skills. That's why training of your personnel and of you is so critically important as new technology comes online, as new equipment comes online, to make you safer, but also more effective. And our agenda for the months ahead includes working to raise wages for all persons and invest in 21st century infrastructure that grows our economy and creates jobs. We are hard at work putting government back on the side of working Americans, but we can't do it alone. The House will pass a lot of good bills. Bills I think you're going to be supporting, bills you're going to be enthusiastic about, but they won't go anywhere unless the Senate agrees. So when you go up to the Hill this week to advocate for firefighters and paramedics and for workers' rights and opportunities, make sure you tell your senators they need to do their jobs when the House sends them bills that help you and your families get ahead. Not on the basis of politics, but on the basis of substance and the basis of the impact it has on you, your families, and all those millions or hundreds of thousands that you represent around the country that make our country safe. That's what you're arguing for. If you have any trouble getting through the door for your meeting with members of the staff, just tell them Steny sent you. That may or may not work. But it's worth saying just for the hell of it, and at least they'll think Hoyer's doing something, even if I don't agree with it. Because we're all in this together. And I will always be proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and all those who serve our communities as firefighters and paramedics. Whether it's support of the fire and safer grants, critically important to keep us safer and our personnel safer, and enough personnel riding on equipment so that you can do the job that we expect you to do. All of that is critical. Grants for the public safety officers benefit, working to ensure benefits for the families of the fallen, or advocating for a strong 9/11 victims compensation fund. I'm going to be standing with you, as I have for the last 50 years, in the State Senate in Maryland for 12 and here for 38. I want to thank all of you. The President's budget is coming down today. I don't know what's in the President's budget. I asked what's there for safer and the fire grant programs, and we think it's going to be cut. We think the director of the OMB, who is Mulvaney's former legislative aide in his congressional office, while he's the acting chief of staff, they're going to cut all non-defense programs by 5%. That's what we hear. Across the board, irrespective of importance. That will not stand in the House of Representatives, I guarantee you. I have no intention, nor does the Speaker have any intention, nor does Bobby Scott or Nita Lowy, the Chairman of the Appropriations Committee, the Chairman of the Education and Labor Committee. By the way, the Republicans, when they took over, they called it the Education and Workforce Committee. We changed it back to the Education and Labor Committee. And the reason we changed the name back is we are proud of organized labor. We are proud of the people who bring us together, because in the union there is strength. In our unity there is strength. You have a united voice. You can make a difference, not only on behalf of those in this room, but on behalf of the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands who are not in this room, for whom you speak. And to the extent that we facilitate your organizing and protect your right to bargain collectively for pay and benefits and for security and working conditions, your department will be better. Your community will be better. America will be better. America's domestic defenders make a difference every day. God bless you. Godspeed. Keep it up.